Namaste. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Shashi.
Hey, good morning, Sashi.
Happy Republic Day to all. Clearly, it's too early, looks like.
Or maybe it's just too much preoccupied weekend for many. Let me write a reminder.
Sure. Thank you.
Hi, Janani.
Hi, Shweta, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Very good. Hi, Shriram.
Hi.
Good morning. Hi, Shriram. Good to see you. Okay, it's 8:03. Pavitra, shall we get started? Yeah. No, that's fine, Jenny. Okay, why don't we get started? We are anyway in recording mode. Namaste, and thank you for joining in. Happy Republic Day. I hope I'm not keeping you from some of your flag hosting events. I have one right after this. So, so great. As you all are aware, we kickstarted the old alumni engagement series of events. Okay, last week we did the Atman dialogue. This week is about the discourse. Okay, the whole idea is to bring in several perspectives and several external speakers as well once we pick up momentum and are way more clear on what our audience really wishes to engage with as well, right? So this is week 2, and since it's discourse, I wanted to start with a disclaimer. Okay, the fact that we have already entered into a discourse mode, the premise with which at least I'll be operating with is some of the elementary questions on did Ramayana happen? Is it true? These are already sorted out in all of you. And we are going to take it a step forward to say, what does it mean? How do I use this knowledge to intensify my own spiritual pursuits? Right? That's the premise in which, some of the content that I'll venture to share today, which I learned from my own teachers, will be presented. Okay. That said, why is it important? Of all the things, why is the name of Rama very important, that too at this stage? And that's the question that will define everything, right? The it's like a diamond, right? Every facet of a diamond glitters in its own way. The more light passes through it, which is your own spiritual sadhana, the more it glitters and really showcases the various colors. And Rama's name is apparently like that. Whether you take a Purana view or a Vedanta view or just a Sanskrit language view or view expressed by devotees through music or prose or even drama, or you go back to some of the deeper pursuits like yoga or karma yoga or ashtanga yoga, they all understood Rama's message, Rama's character, and therefore Rama's name in a very different fashion. And that's what the uh, idea is today, to present in maybe 4 or 5 different angles, with an intention that it actually speeds up and intensifies your own sadhana and understanding. And as you get deeper into it, you will start realizing that you will form connections. The word Rama has many prefixes and suffixes also. Things like Atma Rama, Parashurama. You will now understand some of those characters also in different light because you understood the word of Rama in way more detailed manner. Right? One of the things we wanted to do in the discourse is also bring out those unique incidents in Ramayana and discuss and deliberate more further. But we felt at the absolute beginning, we should first understand the word itself. And then in subsequent episodes, according to whoever the speaker is, we are going to get way more deeper into understanding the other details. Okay, I see several of them joining in as well. And I'm just hitting the admit button as people are joining in. Okay, namaste to all. We just started with the preamble to the discourse today. Okay, so in one line, if I were to repeat, the idea is to understand the Rama Nama and the meaning it carries from several angles that's possible. Okay, as many as we can munch on for today. All right, let's start off with the absolute basic piece, right? Which is the Sanskrit version of it all. Rama. Okay. There are many, many meanings in how this grand language of Sanskrit really interpreted it. And let's start with the most basic, and depending on how we are able to progress through time, go to the most complex one. In my view, basis what I have been exposed to, the Upanishad angle of how the name of Rama is interpreted is the most complex. And the most simple one starts with understanding the linguistics in how the letters are interpreted, the etymology of the word Rama itself. And that's where we'll start. You see, Ra, Ma. Apparently, Ra is the letter for elevation, whereas Ma is the letter for grounding. The Rama represents a balance between external, internal, opening up, as well as, grounding yourself, a balance. And that's what Maryada is, right? Maryada Purushottam or Maryada Rama actually exhibits this in this manner. The word Rama strikes balance between your internal, external, left, right, higher versus lower, and everything. Because the whole idea of samsara in the where we are in right now is to balance, because that is what will take us to navigate out of samsara. Okay, that is perhaps the most basic meaning of Rama. Now, instead of dividing the letters as Ra and Ama, if you are to look at the definition itself, the most fundamental definition propounded is in Panini's Ashtadhyaya itself, right? Ramayate iti Rama. Okay, simple. This is something you all can memorize as well. Ramayate iti Rama. Rama means Ramayate, which means the ability to revel in spiritual joy. That is Ramayate. So Rama is actually agnostic of where you are, what's your gender, which country you're in. It doesn't matter. We all seek that final beatitude, that joy. Now, Rama by definition means the one who gives it and the one who's already experienced it. The one who's experiencing is somebody who can bestow the same experience to others, right? So Ramayate iti Rama actually means the one who's reveling in joy. And where does the joy come from? For Rama, it's very clear. His ability to stick to right conduct, which is dharma and karma, and balancing it out is what brings him that joy. What will bring us that level of joy? Well, firstly, let's understand the role model of Rama and then see in our life what are the various aspects where we can bring in those elements. Okay, whether it is our material pursuits, our mental peace, our relationships, and then finally our spiritual pursuits, right? That whole trajectory which finally leads to release, the final beatitude or self-realization as we call it, right? That is actually called as the Ramayate iti Rama. That is the second definition. Okay. And by the way, towards the end of this conversation, I'm going to ask how many did we cover, because we might end up covering several. Okay. And I see more and more folks joining in. Good to see you all. Hello. Okay. So that's the second definition, Ramayate iti Ramaha. Okay. The word Rama is also associated with one more word that's very frequently used, whether it is Srimad Ramayana itself by Valmiki or many others. And that word is Ramani, Ramaniyam, Ramaniyatva. All of these mean one thing in Sanskrit, and that is ever new joy, inexhaustible. Look at how our general material pursuits really look like, right? A car, a watch, a travel, or a new friend, or anybody for that matter. There is a certain sense of diminishing marginal returns, right? We can't even enjoy anything in the world thoroughly. It's like my favorite pickle is a mango pickle. I can't even eat a kilo of it in a day, right? We are not built for that. There is an upper limit to how much body can even take, right? So when we talk of Ramaniyatva, the more you consume, the more you want, and you are never quite tired of it. It's truly tapping into something inexhaustible. That is the meaning of the word Ramaniyatva. Ramaniya Nama, Ramaniya Rama, these are very frequently used descriptions of that word. It's as much, an adjunct word as much as it's also meaning of the word Rama. So ever new joy, inexhaustible joy, that is the third definition of the word Rama. Okay. Now, all of this is from a pure linguistic perspective that we have shared so far. All the three, the Ramaniyam, Ra plus Ma, as well as the second one, which is, um, what was the second one? We discussed about
Ramayate.
Ramayate iti Rama. Perfect. Ramayate, which means revel in the joy of Rama. Now, all of this is from a linguistic perspective. Now, let's get slightly more deeper. Yesterday, I wrote on my board what all the 5 to 6 angles through which we should be covering Rama. Okay, let's go to the Puranic view of Rama now. I was telling the other day that of the 108 Upanishad, the Puranas that we have, 18 of them are considered very principal Puranas, right? Now, each of the Puranas apparently has a mention of the word Rama. For example, Shiv Puran talks about how Lord Shiva is a great devotee of Rama because of his exemplary conduct, whereas Askanda Purana talks a lot around Rama's valor in the battlefield, how he never gave up. From a perseverance standpoint, Rama was described. Whereas you say Adhyatma Ramayana, which is part of the Brahmanda Purana, by the way, it's part of a much larger Purana. That talks a lot about how Rama is Parabrahma, the ultimate reality that exists. Full stop. Let's not talk anything else. Is the tone with which it talks about. The first opening verses itself. And who reveals it to everybody? It is Sita who reveals it. Right? So when we look at a very different perspective, say Bhagavata Purana, that talks about Sita as actually the Parabrahma, and because of which Rama also was elevated, right? Basically, to talk about the Purusha and the Prakriti, or the masculine feminine duo of how creation really sustains, right? That's a very different perspective. But each Purana will take, of course, a lot of time, but the essence of it is it's described in 3 to 4 fundamental themes. The definition of Rama there comes out to be the one who is extremely balanced on the path of the material world and taking choices basis what is right and important rather than what's convenient. That's the first one. Second one is the ability to never give up. It's called also dhiratva, right? When things happen positive versus things happen negative, if I keep changing my stance as a human, then you're not grounded in something more serious than ourselves, right? We are grounded on convenience. So that comes out as very strongly in each Purana. And lastly, of course, saying that Rama is as much as a destination as much as it is the pathway, right? Which is again joy. Ramayate iti Ramaha, right? That is called out in all the Puranas as some of the basic fundamental way to understand Rama as a character as well as Rama as a word. And our discussion today is centered on explaining the various meanings of the word Rama. I'll go back to the fundamental premise why we are doing this. It is clearly to intensify our own spiritual sadhana or practices, right? That's the whole purpose. So we have covered three definitions under linguistics or Sanskrit language, one under Purana. Let us get a little more serious now. We are going to look at the meaning of the word Rama from a mantra perspective, right? Firstly, understanding mantra itself, that which protects you when you chant it. That's the definition of the word mantra itself. Mananat trayate iti mantraha, right? As and when you chant with utter focus and complete awareness of the meaning, those sounds are not mere words, but they are actually cosmic vibratory energy centers. And that's why you attract that sense of protection around you. That's why some of these mantras sometimes take a lifetime of practice and chanting before the results manifest, and then they manifest in all their glory. So some of the most right mantras are actually very short ones, which are known so widely that people don't recognize their power, but they have huge transformative ability, like the Panchakshari of Shiva, Namah Shivaya, 5 syllables, right? It's called the Shiva Panchakshari. And then you have another one for Vishnu, which is Ashtakshari, Om Namo Narayanaya, right? Then in the Namo Narayanaya, the Ra is considered as the most important piece of it, right? It's the operative syllable in the entire one. If you just remove Ra and see Na Ayanaya, Narayanaya becomes Na Ayanaya, which means not the path to pursue, which is fundamentally against what the otherwise the holistic mantra talks about, right? So Ayanam is again the pathway, the road adopted. Na Ayanaya means don't go on that path, not the path. So the Ra in Ashtakshari, and then in the Panchakshari, if you are to take the Ma, Nama Sivaya, if you remove the Ma, it becomes Na Sivaya. Shivam is Shubham, right? The final beatitude. So not Shivam is what the meaning becomes if you remove the Ma. So the Ra here and the Ma here, which are considered the quintessential power words or power letters in the whole mantras, together fuse to form Ra and a Ma. Now, who explained this? Not me. It is Vasishta who explains it, because he's the one who names Rama. Unlike today, it's not the mother, father who name children. Back then, it was the guru who had the right and the privilege, right? So it was Vasishta putting the baby on the lap, thought for a moment in his deep meditation what might be the apt name for an avatar like this, and then thought this avatar carries the essence of both Rama and Vishnu and Shiva. Therefore, Rama seems to be the most apt name for it. Okay, so the Panchakshari and the Ashtakshari Sammelana and the essence of it, when you bring it together, forms the name of Rama. It is as important to understand this. Unfortunately, down south for several hundred years, for whatever reasons, there is always a sort of cold war and sometimes open war between the Shaiva and the Vaishnavas, right? Those who considered Lord Vishnu as the manifestation of the ultimate godhood are, are subscribing to a belief in such a manner that Shiva is looked down upon them, and vice versa, from the Shaivites to the Vaishnavas. But when you look at the life of Rama, this is a perfect unity that is presented, right? The name itself carries the essence of both. So the confluence or samanvayam, as we call in Sanskrit, right, should actually come out when we look at it. The next time you see some of these in front of your eyes, you visit a temple and you see distinction being celebrated rather than unity, which is what Hinduism stands for, you have a very clear thought process of whether to accept it or reject it. right? So that is the the mantra perspective. Of course, there are many under each category. I'm just going with few of them because there are quite a few to cover for today. Okay, so that was one more thing to cover. I will now move to the Vedantic version of it. This is actually very important. Vedanta apparent is the most adopted one worldwide, right? There are more classes on Vedanta than there are on Puranas or Sanskrit language itself. Somewhere deep down, it attracts the fact that we are more than what we see, the fact that in one way it is presented as significantly away from rituals and just focus on spiritual talk. Vedanta attracts, but Vedanta itself has lot more deeper meaning, right? It is the Veda Anta, the word itself. Let us understand before we delve into Vedanta's view of Rama. Veda Anta literally is translated as the end of Vedas, right? Because the Jnana Kanda, or what is considered Vedanta or Upanishads, is at the end of the all mantras of Veda, right? The purpose of it is Veda Anta not just means towards the end of Vedas, but it also means what Vedas really lead to, the end result of Vedas. That is how you should see it. Now, Vedanta or the spiritual maturity comes when you go through everything in samsara, which is what Vedas actually deal with, right? So the if Vedanta is supposed to project to you the essence of creation as to what is the destination for the individual soul, then when that describes Rama, it's going to be very more beautiful, right? We all know the whole creation happened with the trinity of gods, the Brahma, Vishnu, Maheswara. Okay. Now, remove the names for a while. I mean, it's okay. Let's look at the energies of what they represent. There is a creative energy. Okay. Then there is a sustenance energy and there is a destruction energy, right? Destruction to recreate rather than making it a finalist or a fatalist move, right? That concept is called Tirodhana in Sanskrit. Anyway, so the creative sustenance and destruction, or the generation, organization, and destruction. The God, God, by the way. So that is broken down and represented as the three syllables of the word Rama. So the Rama actually breaks into Ra, A, and Ma. Ra, A, Ma. When Ra and A fuse, it becomes Ra, and then Ma is Ma. Okay. Rama, the Ra, A, Ma actually means these three now. The A part of it is considered as the energy of creation. You see, let me go back a step here. The beauty of Sanskrit is each of the letters have a quintessential meaning at a root level. The k, l, jh, whatever, all the consonants and vowels that we have in itself three things. One is the meaning at a etymological level. The letter, the root sound itself has a energy and a power and a meaning associated. That's number one. Number two, there is a number associated with it. Okay. Number three, there is a color associated with it. It's interesting that in Sanskrit, alphabet and colors both are called varnas, right? It's not without a logic. It's actually very thought through. Okay, that's why when we use the syllables to construct and create a name of a god are represented in our Vedas, and upon deep spiritual practices, devotees of various ages said that they saw a person or a form of a lord, they saw a color around it, etc. Right? Like Vishnu, deep blue, Shiva, supposed to be super white, like a crystal, right? Or a Lakshmi, golden color. It all comes from that fact. We need to understand this before I delve into the meaning of the A, Ra, Ma. Okay. Now, the A part of it is the generative or the creative aspect of it. The Ra is the destruction and the Ma is the sustenance part of it. Okay. So Rama actually shows the creative power of what the Holy Trinity does, which is cycles of creation. And interestingly, every cycle of creation, there is a Ramayana that happens. We are currently in one particular cycle of creation and otherwise perpetual dimension of time, right? In this particular cycle of creation, or one kalpa, as they call it, Rama story happened once and it will happen again. It has already happened again. Okay. So that's why sometimes when you read the Puranas and the description of some stories appear like, but that's not what's in Valmiki, right? It's because they are referring to several other cycles of creation. So the Padma Purana way of how Rama crossed, the ocean to get to Lanka sounds way different than what a Valmiki Ramayana did. But how can a Purana and a Rishi be in conflict with each other? They aren't. They aren't. That's what the story is. But beyond the Puranas and the Valmiki Ramayana, if you are seeing some other account and then the story appears, then you have to treat it as it's not itihasa, but you have to take the meaning and move forward. Okay. That is the way to look at it. Right. Then that's the first way to look at the Vedanta meaning of Rama or Rama. There is a second, and this one should stick to you because of all the things I've said today, this is one of the things that stuck to me when I was, first learning it from my teacher. So, Rama is also the process in which a spiritual aspirant reaches the goal of a moksha in three different steps. Of course, these break down into several sub steps, and the path isn't that easy as it appears, but fundamentally, here are the transformation stages. Look at it this way. The human being who wants to literally understand Vedanta or Rama or any other divine form and literally step by step reach the final beatitude of moksha starts off with fundamental cleansing, which is removal of sins or removal of actions that lead to a sin. Right? What is a sin? Sin is anything that takes you away from your destination of moksha in the most fundamental terms. Right? So, ability to understand and gradually phase out from those activities, attachments which are pulling you away from your goal is the cleansing part of it. And that is identified with the letter Ra. Ra is also called the Agni Bijam, the one that burns. Actually, it creates that fire power within us. That's why Rudra, some of these names are all with Ra, right? So, Ra stands for burning. Burning what? Burning the sins, the stock of karma that we have, which are still tying us down. For us to be liberated to race in the path of infinity, get to our Lord, then you need to cut all the granthis, all that attachments that we have, for which you need certain amount of fundamental karmic burning, right? So that is what Ra will facilitate for you. The more you chant, the more you think, the more you meditate, write, learn, study, everything, right? That is how Ra is to be understood. Now comes A. Now, what happens when there are no stock of bad karma? What you experience is actually knowledge. They say fundamentally we all have the knowledge within. That's what Vivekananda roared, right, in the US as well. You have all the answers within you. You are not seeing it as such, right? Clean whatever is the dirt around that knowledge, and that is what Ra did. So A got manifested, which is your fundamental knowledge, right? Now, lack of attachment, lack of sins, lack of karma, leading to knowledge. What knowledge? Knowledge of Atma Jnana. Now, that is still not the final destination. Knowledge cannot be a final destination. It has to convert to experience, which is what Ma does. Ma is when heavens crack open and you feel the joy, right? The bliss of the soul, the communion, the self-realization, nirvana, emancipation, whatever you call it, right? We have too many words nowadays. It all means the same thing. It is when you actually experience that communion happens with, say, I'm one with the spirit, I am not anything temporary like the body, right? So the Ma, the three-step process is clean your body to prepare it for the rigors of sadhana, unleash the sadhana to get knowledge, and the knowledge will help you experience the divine bliss. The Ma is hence treated as the entire spiritual path and the progress of a spiritual aspirant. This is a very deep Vedanta meaning. In fact, in some shape and form, it is also mentioned in the Mandukya Upanishad as such. So those of you who actually read and spend a lot of time on these things, I would strongly urge you to reflect on it, because these all are formulae given by our sages and our rishis. The one who applies it in their life context will reveal more and more meaning. My experiences, what they reveal me for this definition, will be way too different from each one of you, right? And too much proven there as well. So that in a nutshell is the Vedantic approach to unraveling the divine meaning of the word Rama. Okay. Okay. I hope it's still going on. It's all fine. Just either give me a thumbs up or say I'm good. I'll move to the next one then. Everyone,
I have a quick question, Sashi.
go ahead. Who's this?
Janani here.
Janani. Yeah, go ahead, Jan.
There is this O, Ma, Om, and then Ra, A, Ma
Yeah,
is like the waker, dreamer, deep sleep, and then beyond. That's
super.
another, I mean, that's very Vedantic again, Advaita.
Okay.
So I wanted to ask if you can just touch upon that as well, and then correlate Om and Ram.
Wonderful. Absolutely. Would love to. Thank you. So Jenny asked a question about three states of consciousness, right? Swapna, Shushupti, Jagrut, or in fact, there are four. The Turiya Avastha is the fourth, which is like the undescribable, right? So the Ma apparently has more than 60 different meanings in which you can interpret it. This is just basis Vedanta. One of them is the various states of consciousness, right? So the Shushupti or deep sleep, dreamless sleep, where you actually identify you're not the body, or let me put it this way, you don't think you're the body in that state, right? Jagrat is when you know what you need to do, you touch things, you feel it, your senses are in their best active state, etc. Right? Swapna is intermediate between both. There is a sense of partial association, there is not also. What your Sushupti actually brings to you every night, hopefully, is still an unconscious act of the body, right? The one who is in these three states is not fully realized yet. But whereas the one who gets to the fourth state, which is called Turiya, the meaning of Turiya itself means the fourth. The rishis couldn't describe it as any other manner, because that's a state which you summon through your sadhana, and you get over the whole identifying that you are the body, right? So the three states of consciousness apparently shows human evolution as well. Now connecting with Om is very interesting, because you take Ma, which fuses into Om. It's the same meaning when it comes to the creative, sustenance, and destructive. That is one of the interpretations of the Ma. And many forms of gods and goddesses can be traced back to the Ma. For example, the Ma, if you take the U here and say Ma becomes Uma. Uma is one of the names of Parvati Devi, right? For example, and most intense in terms of meditation as what she represents for. So similarly, Ma also means the three states of consciousness, and chanting on Rama liberates you beyond the shape and the form to get you to the Turiya Avastha. That is one way to look at it. Of course, there are many Vedantic meanings of it, states of consciousness, the three gunas, the Sattva, Rajas, Tamo gunas, similarly, the Tapatrayams as they call it, right? That's why we say Shanti thrice. So these all are several other layers in which we can understand the word Rama. Okay. So is that okay, Jenny?
Yes, thank you so much.
Super, super. Great. I see a few comments saying we are good. Superb. All right. Thank you everyone for putting in the icons there. Okay. I'll move on to something more and more complex now. Okay. And this is the Upanishad view of it. Just like 108 Puranas, we also have 108 Upanishads. Of course, there are 18 principal ones that are translated and available outside. One of them, a lesser known Upanishads, from where I'm bringing out the definition of Rama, is this. It's called the Sara Taraka Upanishad. Sara Taraka Upanishad. The Rama mantra is actually called Taraka. Taraka means Tarimpat, that which helps you cross the ocean of samsara. Such mantras are called Tarak mantras. Shiva Panchakshi is also called Tarak mantra, right? So there are mantras that get you what you want in the material world. There are those which will remove what you don't need, which is protection mantras. And then there are those few which are called Tarak mantras. Their purpose is singular, to get you to moksha. Rama Taraka Mantram is one such. And explaining the word of Rama in great detail is the Sara Taraka Upanishad. Okay, it's very important one. It actually says, and going back to Om that Jenny just asked, right? We know Om breaks up into A, U, Ma. But the Upanishads say it actually breaks into 8, not 3, which is the A, U, Ma, Bindu, Nada, Kala, Kalatita, and Tatpara. I'll explain each one as we go. The A, U, Ma, again, if you look at it from the generation, organization, destruction angle, okay, there are each letters associated with a particular form of the divine, right? And then comes the other ones, which is Bindu, Nada, Kala, Kala, Atita, Tatpara. Okay. Now let's look at it in this manner. You know, in the story of Ramayana, right in the beginning, when Vishnu declares that I'm going to come as an avatar to put an end to Ravana's misdeeds and more importantly, re-establish dharma and bring confidence in humanity. Right? That's what he says. And when he says that, then Brahma looks at all the gods and says that, all of you gods and demigods, when Rama is coming down, it is our duty to go help him or join band with him, because after all, he's doing it for us. So all of you take avatars as Vanaras or whatever, right? Gandharvas, etc., etc. So all forms of God, if you understand as energy, the demigods and the gods, right? They come down as this. For example, Hanuma is a avatar of, or Amsha avatar of Lord Shiva himself. You know that, right? Now let us decode this. A, U, Ma. A, we thought is the creative energy or Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma coming in as the first of the Vanaras is none other than Jambavanta, right? Jambavanta actually comes as the oldest, way before Rama Avatar even was conceived, right? Because he knew. He was there at the time of, the fourth Avatar itself, if Rama is the seventh. Okay. Then A, U, Ma, right? So Sugriva, U also represents the sun. Sugriva is the Vanara representation of sun's energy on earth when the Rama avatar happened. Okay. So Sugriva and Vali were the brothers and they had their fight. We all know the story. But Sugriva represents the U energy. And the Ma energy is, of course, the Shiva. So the A, U, Ma actually comes out like this. Okay. So you might think U should be Vishnu. Why is it sun, right? Lord Vishnu's energy actually flows as Upendra and Surya. It's again a deeper significance into Puranas, but Indra and Surya together are appointed specially by Vishnu to carry out his work, right? So Indra is Vali represented on earth, whereas Surya is Sugriva. Of course, Vali is sent back, his purpose is done, but you take Sugriva for U. A, U, Ma. Then Bindu, Nada, Kala are the three brothers who came to earth as Rama's brothers, right? Bindu represents a circle, right? A dot, chakram. The Sudarshana chakram came down as the form of Shatrughna, is what Ramayana says, right? So Shatrughna actually came in as that. Then Bindu, Nada. Nada is sound from the conch shell, right? It's again represented as Bharata, who himself doesn't do any major thing in Ramayana, if you see, but he's always attached to Rama, just like how we need for the conch shell to work, you need to blow the air and get the sound out. Similarly, Bharata mostly shines when he's with Rama, taking a decision, taking an advice, taking guidance in that manner, appointed as the king, given the padukas, everything that is happening in the Ramayana. So, Nada stands for Bharata in this case. Kala stands for Lakshmana. You know, you might see all the characters come and go in the Ramayana, but from beginning to end, the one always with Rama is not his wife, it is his brother. Right from childhood, after Sita was sent on exile, every time in Ramayana, the only person next to him happens to be Lakshmana. That Lakshmana is the pratika, as you call it. He's a symbol of upasana, right? Absolute surrender, dedication, and deep meditation into Rama. That is how he's seen metaphysically beyond the story, right? So the kala element represents Lakshmana, but there is somebody kala atita, beyond kalas also, right? And that happens to be Sita, right? Because Sita and Rama, as much as they're two characters in Ramayana story, they are not separate from a spiritual meaning standpoint. Rama and Sita are the same one, right? So Sita is the kala atita, and guiding all of them at the helm of affairs is the tatpara. That is Rama, right? Again, let's go. A, U, Ma, Bindu, Nada, Kala, Kala, Atita, Tatpara. 8. Okay. All fused to become Rama. So when we talk Rama, we are not talking Rama alone. We are talking Ram ka darbar. Pura. That is the meaning that should come into your head if this is the one you want to adopt for your spiritual practices, right? Even today, in many temples, especially down south, I have noticed this a lot. If they do Sita Kalyanam, or they do a Sudarshana Homam, or they do an Abhishekam for Rama, anything that happens in Rama temple ends with actually chanting this particular line. Jambavat Sugriva Hanuma Shatrughna Bharata Lakshmana Sita Sameta Ramachandra Parabrahmane Namaha. This is a very standard line. In Bhadrachalam, you hear it every few minutes also, by the way, right? This whole expansion, what you put as Ram Darbar in your home or in your puja is actually nothing but Om in a very pictorial format. That is how you should understand the whole thing around what exactly is the word Rama and how it breaks into the whole ensemble of gods that help the entire avatar steer forward. Each one had a very unique role in the Rama avatar, right? So this is what Sara Taraka Upanishad really presents. A, U, Ma, Bindu, Nada, Kala, Kala, Tita, Tatpara. Thank you, Jenny, for pasting it in the chat window. This is perfect. Okay. So that is the whole view of how an Upanishad would really reveal the essence of Rama. Somebody is speaking. Could you just go on? Okay, I'll hit the mute button. Okay, cool. All right. Do you have space for one more? Engage with me on the chat if you are. Hello. Okay. People, are you there?
Yes, we are.
Okay. If you can take one more definition, give me a thumbs up. Else we will conclude it for today. These do take time to just distill into the mind. Hmm. Okay, Ravi, thank you. Okay, great. Nilay, you're on. Okay, cool. All right. I'm going to give you one last one for today. Okay. Again, by no means is this the full and final collection of definitions of the word Rama. There is much, much, much more, and I still keep learning, still keep discovering, just amazed at what all can be learned, right? Now, I want to present to you a yoga perspective because end of the day, I come from that background, and eventually I start looking at that by default, right? So here is the yogic meaning. What is the purpose of yoga? The Ashta Anga, or the 8 limbs or 8 stages of yoga, is to deliver to you the 8th one, which is the Samadhi Sthiti. Yes. Hmm. Okay, may I request somebody who's...
I think Muthu is going off.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No worries. Thank you. Okay, so the Ashtanga are supposed to get you to the Samadhi state, right? Then the Samadhi state is the final state that there can be where you identify one with creation and beyond, right? So to get to the samadhi sthiti, you have the ashta angas, which are your yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. We can look at the meanings later. I'm sure most of you know what these mean too. From preparatory stages to bodily exercises to breath control to start going deeper into the mind and then dissolving the mind to unleash samadhi and the joy that it brings is the final aim of yoga. Contrary to popular belief, the whole chunk of yoga is not condensed into asanas. If you look at Patanjali Yoga Sutras or the Yoga Shastra or many other documents, 1% is the value attached to the yoga asanas, right? The physical postures are for preparatory stages only. The real yoga that actually starts is from pranayama and upwards. Anyway, now, the objective or the end aim of yoga is to get to the communion. It starts with looking outside. Are you clean? Are you having a bath? Are you telling lies? Are you hoarding stuff? To actually gradually coming back saying that who are you? What are you thinking? Who do you think you are not? And then finally saying, do you feel your true self? Right? That is the stage where the journey really goes inward. Now, when the journey goes inward, okay, you actually see within that the Rama is within you. Okay, if you take Rama as your end goal of pursuit and then you follow the path of yoga in all its glory, what you see is the Rama within, and the Rama within is nothing but Atma Rama. Okay, and the path that will take you to within is the Atma Rama Ayana. Atma Ramayana. No wonder why we named this foundation also like that, because the whole journey happens to be within. Okay, and we end up usually getting very distracted by outside because our mind is built to latch on to things outside. But it takes a sense of discipline to actually gradually pull it inward and then go deep inside to unleash the what's called as the Atma Rama, or the Rama inside, or the Rama within, or who you truly are, right? That comes and resonates from within. So that's the yogic meaning, saying that the aim of samadhi is to go within. So Rama is the final stage of yoga. Samadhi converted into an experience, and you discover that all that you have been reading, practicing, hearing, traveling, visiting temples and everything is actually to open that door inside to witness yourself. That is a very deeper and a yogic meaning of Rama. Anyway, we are at 8:48. We can pause on the other definitions. There are many, 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 as I was telling you. But let me speak a quick one or two words, and then maybe at least 10 minutes, I would like to open it up. Given all this, so what? What next, right? That's a very natural question for us all. You see, there are those of you whom I know meditate, whom I know engage in many spiritual activities, read a lot, etc. The two things I want to leave with you today, because we discussed in great detail the whole definitions of Rama. Number one, we are emotional creatures. Okay, bhavam, the ability to experience what you are going through, whether it is reading, writing, chanting, whatever, the bhavam will intensify. It will catapult you to a next level of speed if you are doing what you are doing with the awareness of the meaning. You have to feel some of these things, right? If I chant Rama 100 times versus I chant Rama 100 times with an awareness of one of the meanings that really rhymed with me, the return on spiritual investment, right, is way more higher. Okay, so I wanted to share that as an important piece, that when bhavam is attached to sadhana, right, the ability to harvest experiences is way more faster. That's the first thing. The second thing is chanting. We all do. It's not about volume or it's not about the count, right? It's about the intensity per chant, which I'm sure you all know, right? The chanting is usually verbal, right? Either at a lip movement level or an actual sound expressed outside level. Whereas meditation is all about internal. It's purely in the mind. You close your eyes because you shut off the most important source of data consumption, which is eyes, right? And then you do. Then there is a third thing also, karmana, right? Rama Koti is a very unique thing related to Rama. You don't find Ganesha Koti or a Veerabhadra Koti, right? It's rarely there. Rama Koti is there because our ancients have realized that the fundamental meaning of the word Rama is so much that whether you write, whether you chant, whether you meditate, each one has its own unique purpose. And it alters your consciousness levels if you are to do it in a consistent and intentful manner. So between writing a Ramakoti, chanting a Rama Nama, even 11 a day with intensity, and then of course visualizing some of the incidents of Ramayana with the meaning that you have just learned today is actually, if you see, the Trikarana Shuddhi, Manasa, Vacha, Karmana, thought, word, deed are covered in these three activities itself. Okay, so I would strongly urge you all to just reflect on how your spiritual practices are and how today can actually add as a force multiplier as you progress further. Okay, that was the whole intent of taking this as a topic. And because we have the tapatrayam, right, at a various levels of our existence, at a body and a mental and a spiritual level, various attachments that we need to go away from, you have the Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti to attack at each level. And those are attacked by not just saying Shanti, 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 but engaging in the Manasa, Vacha, Karmana level. Okay, that's exactly what I want to halt this with and really see any questions or any discussions or any observations you all have generally. Was it a little too heavy for a Sunday morning?
Sashi, for me, there was a very big learning perhaps that I can retain is Rama emerged from, I mean, one of the explanations you gave was from Narayana, Narayana from Ra, I mean Ra from that, and then
Yes.
Om Namah Shivaya, that Ma, and then just removing those two letters just makes the meaning of those words very opposite. And therefore, the significance of a syllable in a particular word, I mean, it's very enlightening.
Great, great. Glad you said that. Jenny, since you are into music, let me say this. There is a Tyagaraja Kirtana calling this out. It's in Telugu, but at the risk of, some of you understand this, I'll say this, that Ashtakshalilo Rajivamu. Ra is the Jiva letter, the one with the most essence. Panchakshari Ma Jivamu. ఈ వివరం తెలిసిన ఘనులకు నే మ్రొక్కెద. There is a song by Tyagaraja actually calling this out because he's an extremely erudite scholar himself, right? So good, thank you. Glad to hear that struck a chord with you. Bit heavy, quite enlightening. We'll need to internalize. Saurabh, thank you for being very genuine and honest. Yeah, sure. Super.
Good
All right.
morning.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Hi, this is Srini here.
Shini, hey.
For me, the biggest learning was when you said that, the word Rama itself encompasses the whole Rama Darbar. I never knew that. So that was a big, insightful thing today. And I'd love to learn more about that. That was very nice. Thank you.
Wonderful. Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. Yes. Sara Taraka Upanishad actually calls this out in very great detail. It's just amazing that what is considered so heavy and deep is a very commonly used word. So if we are to attach some of this awareness to it and then get on to our sadhana, the results are just infinite. Okay.
I just wanted to share something. I just love that Rama Sara Taraka that we spoke about. And also the three ways, the Manasa, Vacha, Karmana, that was very beautiful. Because when you first spoke of chanting, I actually don't chant at all. But I write Rama Nama very irregularly. Whenever I am saying some other shloka, just to keep my the mouth says, the mind wanders. So I just try to bring it back by writing the Rama Nama. So
Wonderful.
that's something that I do very erratically, but thank you. I think this will make me a little more regular. But what I found very reassuring was when you spoke about the manasa, which seems the more natural path for me, because every day there is some incident from the Ramayana which just comes to my mind, and I when I try to look at it from their shoes, from the character's perspective, and I realize the emotions that are at play there, and how Rama balances everything. I think that's something that it's very relatable to us in our daily life. So that is something that I find far more natural, but I will certainly try to incorporate the other two as well. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, wonderful, very inspiring. Thank you. I'll just add one snippet there. The writing piece, since you said you do, in psychology they teach this thing called RAS, reticular activating system. That's how our brain works, right? When you actually write, the reticular activating system, which is a group of neurons there in the brain that is concerned with human behavior, right? They get activated so much that you'll be surprised that without you knowing, because you write Rama Nama, through the day, you actually start chanting subconsciously. Okay. And this happened with me when some time ago, when I touch something hot, our usual reaction is Amma, right? I said Rama. Okay. Then I realized, oh, why did that happen? And then I started researching, and this is what I found. If you are already on the path of writing, fantastic. And I wish you more power on that. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think this is going to be give me the impetus to do that more regularly.
More wonderful. Saurabh, you're asking, will there be a recorded session available? Yes, recording is on. You will definitely get it. Eli, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Okay, superb. All right. Are we in a good place to conclude today? Okay. All
Thank
right.
you.
Jai Shri Ram, and
Jai
meet
Shri
you next
Ram.
time with
Thank
another
you.
package. Yeah.
Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Jai
you
Shri
very
Ram.
much. Jai Shri